G'day people. So today, for the first time in a long time, very rarely do I ever do this, but I've written down several headings to things that I want to address in this particular video. Now, I've just finished watching one of Russell Brand's videos, which is titled World War III, It Was Always About the Money, which indicates that it has already happened, speaking in the past tense. It should say, is it about the money? Or it is about the money, not it was always about the money. And so at the end of this video, I'm going to show you in a minute, there is an American general, or former military general, who seems to make a lot of sense, and I'm just going to give you just a few lines of what he's saying, but then I'll post the link down below so you can watch this video, and then I'll ask a few questions which some of you guys might want to engage with or have an opinion on. So let me just turn the camera around, do an old school viewing, and let's see what the general's got to say.
Supported that. No one in the United States was consulted. So what do? They lie. They create a narrative. Russia is a revanchist nation. Russia is the Soviet Union reborn. We must stop it and defend democracy. That's all crap. Has nothing to do with any of it. And of course, Kiev is not a democratic state. Zelensky is not a democratic leader. He makes Stalin look good. So he's going to go out of business. He's going to vanish here over the next 30 to 60 days. Whether he succumbs to whatever the Ukrainians decide to do with him on the ground, I don't know. I'm sure that his foreign mercenaries that are surrounding him, special ops types from the United States and Britain and other countries, will do everything they can to keep him alive. But at some point, even they may abandon him. But the narrative persists because the media is an arm of the government. This is very similar to what Noam Chomsky wrote about during Vietnam. You know, manufactured consent creates the illusion that this is something we all want. No, we didn't want it. We didn't ask anybody to open the borders. We did not ask for millions of people that we don't know and know nothing about to come into the United States. And what do we do with millions of people who can't find work, especially if we go into the serious financial crisis that every sane person on the planet is predicting is coming?
Thank you for joining us.
I don't know whether I'll get away with that video on YouTube, that little excerpt there, because obviously this is coming from Rumble. But that general has a lot to say about the conflict in the Ukraine, and he sounds very much like a political dissident. Because he's looking at it objectively from a rational, reasonable perspective, an intelligent perspective, and he's saying it's all contrived to line the pockets of global trillionaires. Okay, so over and above that, people are speaking about World War III, and it's looking very imminent, and the beginning of this video, Russell Brand is speaking about the conflict in Israel, then the conflict, potentially with Iran, and then the potential conflict with China, and of course the potential global conflict with Russia, and all these things going on. And US Congress have just passed a new war bill which has given trillions of dollars to continue these wars. And he's asking, is there any world leaders that are advocating for not war? Is anyone contesting anything about proceeding with these wars? Where is the mentality of people? Where are the people, any leaders at all, who are standing up and saying we need to deploy diplomacy now? We've got to find some solution to this which isn't bloodshed and possible nuclear holocaust. Nobody's doing it, apparently. at least nobody in power. You've got people like Bobby Kennedy that, you know, would turn things around. But, you know, very, very few and far between. And, of course, these people are not in these positions of powers, so they're not being offered, you know, hundreds of millions of dollars to comply. Because we all know when people like Obama, he was going to end the war in Iraq, but never did. In actual fact, he sent 3 times more troops, and he was going to do this and he's going to do that, and he never did he? But what did he do? He became a trillionaire almost. What was reported was that after the first 4 years of his inauguration, he was worth over $100 million. Where did that money come from? And what did he do? Nothing he promised he was going to do. And so we all know it's a racket by now, don't we? But I've got some questions which pertain to religion in relation to this, because I'm not so sure that it's all about money. That's the question I'm asking people. Is it really all about money, or is it about biblical prophecy? Because we do know that the people that rule the world are the you-know-whos. And the you-know-whos, if they have an adherence to all of the early scriptures, particularly the Torah, then I don't know whether they would be pushing towards some sort of global dominance, because they've been told that they're the chosen people. And even though Orthodox Jews are not Christians, it seems to me that the whole Armageddon thing is very much linked to these people. So lots of you out there, biblical scholars and things like that, would know a whole lot more about it than me. I've read the Revelation, you know, in its entirety a couple of times. I've read the whole Bible completely from beginning to end, all the way through, twice, and I've listened to hundreds and hundreds of scholars speaking about this stuff, and so I'm reasonably informed. And what I'm seeing via all this stuff that's going on, if people have an adherence and a belief, and difficult to find the words, so let me come at it from another way. People who are Christians and who are Orthodox Jews, whether they believe in the Old Testament and don't believe in Jesus, or whether they believe in the New Testament and do believe in Jesus. In the New Testament, like the Armageddon there, the Revelation, and it speaks about the separating of the wheat from the chaff, and the end times, and how that has to happen, and it will happen, and it's been prophesied. And why must it happen? Because God is going to rid Satan from the world. And so if that is the case, if Armageddon is going to eradicate evil from the earth, then my question is, why wouldn't every single Christian be wanting Armageddon to come? And it's kind of a bizarre thing, of course, it is, isn't it? But if Christians believe in the rapture and believe in everything that the Bible says, it's all the words of God, then Armageddon is going to happen. It has to happen to bring about regime change, and to put in eternal shackles the evil one, Satan, before Jesus can sit on the throne again, and everything's going to be wonderful. So if that is the case, then surely all Christians, even though it may turn out that they would lose their lives and loved ones and all that, but if they believe in the resurrection, that they're all going to be in heaven, then why would they not want the final resolution of the New Testament to take place? If they believe absolutely in all of it, then they must believe in that, and therefore they must want it. So what do you have to say about that, Christians? You know, am I barking up the wrong tree? Am I getting it all wrong? Can you tell me another interpretation of Revelation? It doesn't mean that at all. What does it mean? Because it seems to me the book of Revelation is a very, very indecipherable book, and it could be interpreted by every single person that ever read it in a different way. So the question was then, is it really all about money? Or is it more likely to be about biblical prophecy? It could be about both. Because it's unlikely that these people that are going to be perpetrating Armageddon are going to be in the vicinity where these bombs are going to be landing. They're going to be on the other side of the planet in deep underground bunkers or something of this nature, aren't they? Makes more sense. And so maybe they're considering that this has to happen, you know, we've got to cleanse the world from evil, but they're the ones that are perpetrating the evil. So we enter into a paradox, don't we? So if they are the believers in, you know, the New Testament, and they do want to bring about Armageddon, or if they just say, well, it's inevitable, and they're not bringing it about, they are just defending, you know, democracy. And, well, again, it's another paradox, because defending democracy against people which are very potentially likely to use nuclear war heads, then you're going to do the same, America, Britain, and whatever countries, and so it's going to be, you know, hellfire, isn't it? And so it really is so perplexing whenever we try to even remotely get our heads around this stuff, because there's too many fingers in the pies. There's never just one agenda in anything. There's always a myriad of agendas. And so I'm looking at it now in view of the fact that Russell Brand has just turned Christian and has been baptized into the faith. Well, isn't he being contradictory? Because what he's saying in this video, he's appealing to world leaders and everybody to try to bring about a truce to prevent this Armageddon thing from happening. But if he is a true believer, then doesn't he think that it's inevitable, and he should know that it absolutely has to happen, because that's God's prediction and that's prophecy. And, you know, how else are we going to get rid of Satan from the world? So, you know, I'm unclear about all these things, and I haven't heard a single person ever broach this subject. You know, look, for years, you know, us conspiracy theorists have heard about the agenda from the you-know-whos that want a one-world government, one religion, one language, and, you know, one army, and all that sort of thing. And so, of course, well, this is very, very likely to be, you know, very incremental in that agenda. It looks absolutely obvious that it is. And so, you know, there's that facet of it, then there's the biblical facet of it, and, you know, the money facet of it, and keeping the populace, the ever-expanding populace, under control and distracted. How do we do this? Well, we keep creating wars here, there and everywhere, and keep them blindsided so they don't see the real agenda, which is their incarceration, subservience, and suppression. And so, you know, it's very, very complex. Who or what is responsible for the individual and collective actions? I'm asking here, is it our egos, or is it something else? Is it in actual fact God that is responsible for all of our actions? Are we nothing more than automaton? Because it seems that we don't really have any free will. And if something was written in a prophecy in the Bible 2,000 years ago, and that's where we're going, doesn't that tell us all that in actual fact there is no free will on the world, and it was ordained by God himself, and it was always going to happen? Because of the prophecy, and because of you know, whatever God conjured up. Well, if God was all powerful and all loving, why would he do this? Why would he put people through these, you know, never-ending wars for all these years, only to bring it to a finale where the world is almost destroyed, if not destroyed? What sort of a God does things like that? These are the questions that I'm asking when I look at this stuff, having been very familiar with biblical scripture and prophecy, and then looking deeply into globalists' agenda, the Illuminati, and the whole Davos agenda and all that sort of thing. It's very, very clear that we've been heading towards this point for all of our lives, and much, much longer before. There's been no different to the Roman agenda to control the whole world as to the American agenda. I mean, America took the Senate and all the emblems and everything exactly the same, copied everything from the Roman Senate. And so you can see it's just a continuation. And then when we look at the Nazi symbolism, well, that was exactly the same. It's the eagle with two wings, and we've been conned into believing that there's a democracy because you've got one side offering this and one side offering that, but both wings pertain to the same bird, and it's just all Maya, it's all illusion, it's all deception, the democracy. There isn't, because this is a central global agency which controls the bird, both wings, and the propaganda and everything else. And so when I speak about Maya, it's all Maya. It's all smoke and mirrors, people. Everything that we see on this planet is smoke and mirrors. And, can we believe anything? Can we believe the world is round? Can we believe that the man walked on moon? Can we believe that really it is possible to get the humans on Mars? Do we really believe that there's a space station? Because there's been lots of curious video footage which shows that it's a great deception. Is there really a Tesla car out in Earth's orbit? When we see a rat walking on it in one of the videos, it's never ending. It's never ending, is it? And so Christians believing in Christ, believing in the end times. Well, if you believe in the end times, then it seems paradoxical that you wouldn't want it to happen. Because if Jesus is your Saviour and God's your Lord and all this, and God said it, and it looks like we're all working towards it, by our complicity or by our agendas, whether it's political agendas or financial agendas. It seems the whole world is going full steam ahead towards the prophecy of the Bible. So who wants it? Do Christians want it? Do Satanists want it? Do politicians want it? Does the military-industrial complex want it? Do the Illuminati want it? Is it the Davos global agenda? All those cronies that want it? Does anybody not want it? Because if you've got 8 billion people on the planet and they didn't want it, then you would have thought that they would have done something about it. Because there's only a handful of people that are orchestrating this, people. And so the question is then, another question, I get it, there's a lot of questions in this, there's a lot of questions about everything, but if we don't want Armageddon, if we don't believe in the reality of Armageddon, if we consider this only metaphor, then surely we would want now to start to prevent a nuclear war. Surely that's what everybody would be wanting to do. But I'm just wondering, how awake are the masses? How they just appear to be in somnambulism. They are sleepwalking, they're automaton, they are the living dead. And in recent times I've been making videos because I've discovered that many people do not actually have an internal dialogue, let alone an internal monologue, and so they don't actually think for themselves. So where do they get their thoughts from? Their thoughts are projected out of the media, out of the propaganda machine, and the brains of these people, which are very, very limited. They can only receive information. They cannot create information themselves. They cannot decipher information, and so they just are automated like a robot is, a remote control robot, for a few buttons, and the human beings are going, doing all the dumbass shit around the world and just complicit and voting for wars. What about all these people in Congress? Apparently 470 Congress members voted for the new war bill to give trillions and trillions of dollars to create and continue these wars. There was something like 270 or 240 that didn't vote yes, go ahead to release this money to the overlords. And it was significant to notice, and you'll see it in this video, that every single one of those was Republican and not Democrat. And you would have thought the Liberalists, the Democrats, they would be fighting tooth and tail to prevent war. But it's them, every single one of them, it appears, who's calling for it. So you see how the whole world is topsy-turvy now. And, you know, what we used to consider to be democratic and power to the people is completely the opposite. They evidently want the demise of the people. What's going on? It's confusing times, and of course this is why we're getting lots of people now turning towards Christianity, turning towards some sort of a belief for some sort of comfort and structure in their lives, because the structure of our lives is being stripped away and we are being lied to, we're being beguiled, we're being deceived, we are being manipulated, we're being threatened, we're being terrorized. All this shit is coming down on us. When is the world going to stand up? That's my question. When are serious people going to start smashing their fists onto the table and screaming at their viewers, what the fuck are you doing being complicit in this? You know, where's the people like Joe Rogan and Russell Brand and, you know, all the other, you know, YouTube gurus? Why aren't they getting kind of very, very emotional about this and screaming to get the attention of the sleeping masses? The time is nigh. If ever you're going to wake up, if any of you people are going to be religiously inclined or spiritually inclined, and you are going to enter into an extended level of consciousness, like it is spoken about, that we're coming into Aquarius and it's going to be a higher state of consciousness, because this particular moment in time we're in the Kali Yuga, the Kali Yuga, the lowest variety of energy, the densest dimension, which all this shit comes down on. Yeah, okay, so we can feel it all coming down. Are we going to be entering into the Aquarian realm, which, I don't know, is 100 years away or something? You know, who knows? It's very speculative. But it doesn't look like we're going to be entering that realm any day soon with the level of complicity which is going on today around the world. So I'm dumbfounded. I mean, I woke up 14 years ago and I see the world in a very, very different way, and I see it much clearer than many people do. But, you know, I would think that the writing's well on the wall. And so if the writing on the wall isn't going to be of any benefit to 95% of the masses, then what can we say about God? He seems to be exceedingly weak. He seems to be completely and utterly powerless if he wanted to save lives. But if he wanted to separate the wheat from the chaff and only allow those ardent believers, the ones that have been working hard and praying and believing and all this sort of stuff, to him, some sort of sicko that just thrives on being worshipped. Why would any god thrive on being worshipped? That just smacks of insecurity to me. Surely you wouldn't want anybody worshipping you. You just want to instill love and peace within them, wouldn't you? And then you would bask in that accomplishment. You think, I've done a wonderful job because I've instilled love and peace in my beautiful children. Why would you want to persecute them and bully them and traumatize them and confuse them and have them begging on their knees and groveling to you, please save me, save me, save me? Why would you do this? Too many questions, isn't there? Too many questions. Wow. I think I've hit all these headlines here. And so, see what you think about that, people, because there's a lot of questions there, there's a lot to think of, and the concepts of all these things, of course, are exceedingly broad, and deep. And, you know, because we have all been scattered metaphorically by the happenstance of what happened in Babel in biblical times, because we can no longer all see eye to eye, because we no longer speak the same language. We don't speak the same emotional languages, we don't speak the same cognitive languages, we don't speak the same physical languages, we don't speak the same spiritual languages, we don't speak the same religious languages. We're all scattered and diverse, and so how are we ever going to come together on this if we all see the world in a very, very different way? How many people these days are just completely indifferent whether the world goes up in flames? Because it seems that is the case, because there's no movements. There should be hundreds of thousands, millions of people in the streets on every single continent, in every single country at this moment in time, telling these fuck-faced overlords, you best stop that motherfucker or we're coming for you. And they should be campaigning outside of all government buildings in every country until the governments have to implode and concede that they are in actual fact working for the people and not for the globalist agenda and them fucking selves. It's about time they were taught a lesson in respect and morals and decency, to bring them all down from their trillionaire occupations, lining their pockets with the hard-earned monies of the masses. Look what's happened in America. America's broke, and yet it's still found trillions and trillions of dollars to take America further into debt, to destroy that nation, so it doesn't have money to fund for people who can't work or don't work or haven't got any jobs, or there is no industry. All these sort of things, the welfare and the social benefits. We see if it's all spent on war, then there's going to be very little for that. And bringing in all of these you know, immigrants from all over, you know, the world, who barely even speak the language, with no credentials and experience in anything. So, you know, they don't even have a similar culture. How are they going to fit in? How are they going to gel into the current psyche of America? It seems that that isn't the agenda. It's not about gelling into the current psyche. It's about ripping a new arsehole in the current psyche and destroying the psyche of America, destroying the nation as a whole in many, many ways. This video must inspire an enormous amount of response, because I've posed a lot of questions, I've broached a lot of agendas, and sincerely looking for answers. Do any of you have them?